In this video, I'm going to be airbrushing an artwork based on the Martians Vs Roughnecks NFT project. I love this project and I do hold a couple of these NFTs. So my Martian NFT is the one that I'm focusing on for this particular project. However, I've changed the background. All the incredible artwork for this project was designed by super talented artist Ben Miller and the team at Martians Vs Roughnecks. If you are interested in NFTs, then please do your own research. I'm not a financial advisor and this is a very risky space. But if you do want to learn more about this particular project, then I'll leave some links in the description below. But this video is purely to show you how I airbrush the artwork. So with all that said, let's get into it and airbrush a Martian. I'm working on an A3 canvas. You can see my design's been sketched on. What I did using transparency film, I made a reference image in Photoshop, just a real rough one, put that together, then laid the transparency film over the top, drew out my design, and then used a projector to project it to scale on the canvas. And now I'm going to start with a light blue. So this is Trident white mixed with some drops of blue, and I'm going to spray in the background first. So with this light blue, I'm just going to get a nice even coat. And the airbrush that I'm currently using is the Awada HPCS Eclipse. This one runs a 0.35mm needle nozzle setup, but you can still go really fine with it. And now up close, even though this isn't essential, so if I do get a bit of blue overspray somewhere, it's easily fixed. I can just work over the top of it. And because the Martian will be built up using a lot of opaque colours, I can even get overspray on him and it's just going to disappear as I work through the artwork, going from background to foreground. I don't always work background to foreground, depends on what it is and what surface I'm working on. So if I say did this artwork on a aluminium composite panel or a harder surface, then I would most likely mask off the Martian once I'd finished him. So start with him first, then mask him off as a positive to protect him, and then spray the background, remove my mask, and he would appear very three-dimensional. And then I'd go and complete the black lines at the end of it. And a huge thanks to the MVR team for allowing me to do this and for allowing me to use one of Ben's designs. I really love the artwork. It's got a real cool look to it, real retro. I love sci-fi, being a big Star Wars fan. So I just had to paint one of these. Okay, so getting that blue done, still a bit patchy in some of the areas, so then move back further away from the surface, dust back over it, and then it should dry out nice and even. I'm not too concerned. I'm going to put some clouds and shading over the top anyway, so it doesn't really matter. Now using some cobalt blue by Createx Illustration Colors, I'm going to bring in a bit of shading from the top just to give that sky a little bit more depth. And the airbrush that I'm using now is the GSI Krios PS770. This is the older model to the 771, which I'll use later on, but both are pretty much the same. They both perform very well and both have a 0.18mm needle nozzle setup, so finer than the Eclipse. So starting off with the edges and working down from the top, gradually building it. Now this is a transparent colour, so just very carefully building that tone up. And you can see I'm already getting some overspray on that Martian. That's to be expected. You can angle your airbrush a little bit so that it drifts back to the top of that painting. Now just establish some clouds in the distance. Don't want to go too sharp with them, just suggestive at this stage. While I have the blue, I'm going to add some reflection to the crashed UFO. Now using some white, just going to add in a bit of a highlight to the top of the cloud. Now switching back to the cobalt blue and just dusting over to knock those highlights back a little bit, just in certain areas. Again, the beauty of transparent, you can just work back over the top. Okay, so now I'm going to use some sand and colour in the ground. Now up nice and close, even though I said before that if you do get a bit of overspray on the Martian it doesn't make too much of a difference, I'm still trying to be nice and clean around it, minimise my overspray. And this is also a good time to practice doing some lines on the canvas. So you can use this sand colour, and by outlining you're getting your confidence up so that when you get to the black outlines, you're already going to have some practice. Whenever doing outlines, always look ahead of the line, because you'll find that your hand will follow where the eyes are going. And then when I'm in the safe zone, so even here I'll do 50-50 overlap and then gradually come back from the surface to coat it in. If it's a little bit patchy, that doesn't matter. That'll just add to the texture. But you can see I've got that air on at all times. And then just pulling the trigger finger back, paint on, paint off. So make sure you use your double action correctly. Canvas is great to practice on. However, if you want something even easier, try t-shirt material. The beauty of t-shirt material is not only does it absorb the paint, but when you press down for air, it'll make an impression on the t-shirt, so you'll know exactly where the paint's going to hit. And that helps out a lot of beginners, because that's one of the weirdest sensations with airbrushing, is that you're hovering over the surface. So if you know where that paint's going to hit, that makes it a lot easier straight away. So you can see it's not perfect, it's still patchy, but I'm not spending too much time on it. Probably come in with a sepia brown or sepia brown and do some texturing on top, as well as detailing the rocks. So this is just to get my sand in as the underpainting, the base colour. With these rocks I'm going to bring in a different colour, but I'm still going to use that sand as a bit of a base colour. So just lightly dusting over it, not as heavy as the ground. And you'll notice that I've got some on the UFO, so I'll definitely coat back over that, clean that up. So I'm using a pre-mixed light grey, and I'm going to colour in the spaceship. You can see how that grey, because it's opaque, mixed with the white, and it goes straight over that overspray with no issues at all. You can see I'm leaving some of the reflection from the sky, just blending that grey back into it. And while I've got the grey, I'm just going to flat tone the metal plates. Now using some sepia brown by Trident, I'm going to shade the background a little bit and put some texturing in the rocks. Using a few freehand templates. This one's by School of Realism by Drew Blair. It's actually a bark template or a wooden texture. And another texture effects template. This one by Gerald Mendez, an art tool template, just to fill in some of those gaps. I like to move it around as well when I'm spraying, give you a bit of a different effect. Now go ahead and I'm going to do some freehand in here as well. Basically just creating some uneven textures just so it doesn't look like flat ground. Even just suggesting a few things, some rocks. You can even do little shrubs. Doesn't have to be super accurate. And you can dust over the ones in the distance, blur them out a little bit. It's just so that it's not a flat surface. Bring in a little bit more detail in the front section. Pop some birds in the background. Now just shaping the boulders, using that sepia brown again. Just creating that harsh edge using the template, and then I'll just freehand from there. Also helps to create the texturing in there. Switch to another texture template for a bit more texture in the boulder. And now some freehand to pull it all together. And if you want to learn more about airbrushing, then you can definitely check out our online airbrushing course at airbrushasilum.thinkific.com. I'll also pop some links in the description below for you. So you can see I'm varying my height, so I'm up nice and close just to get those sharper defined shadows, and then further away to shade. Controlling my overspray, however I'm still keeping my finger pressed down at all times and just moving that trigger finger back and forth. And I'm just making this up as I go. If you're not confident with that, then you can definitely follow your reference image or get yourself some reference images from rocks and stone and boulders, and that's going to help you. I'm not trying to go for a completely photorealistic look. I want it a bit more stylized and to fit in with the MVR style artwork by Ben Miller. So sorry I forgot to film some of this. What I've done is using my sepia, just shaded a little bit around here. I've done this all freehand. You can use a template if you're not comfortable, and then worked my way around this edge as well. I've gone finer on the outside edges and then just bringing some shading in. I'm also now going to add some damage to the UFO, seeing as it's crashed. I might just crack open this canopy. So what I want to do is put in some kills, so same as what the warplanes used to do, and I'm going to use the mullet skull that Ben designed as the little kill insignia. I'll just quickly sketch that in. I'm just going to hand paint these, starting off with a bit of grey. It's one thing I love about the Trident paint, it also brushes very well. Bit of peach flesh for the mullet. Now some black outlines. I'll run a little bit of shading into them. And to really show the Martians' dislike towards the Roughnecks, I'm going to put a cross through them. And while I've got the red, I'm going to add the red into the tattoos on the Martian. Go back to the UFO, a bit more damage and shading. Just use the template so I can get a nice light dusting. Render it a little bit more to make it look like damaged metal. Okay, so I've mixed up the base colour for the Martian. It was made up of a yellow mixed with white. I added some lime green into there and some drops of sand. I don't remember the exact ratio as I just did it all by eye. So just slowly building up the tone, up close around the edges, and then further away to colour in. When you come back further from the surface, be sure to control your overspray. Now I'm going to add a bit more sand just to darken it up for the shading. So I'm just going to mix that in the cup. Just adding in that shadow tone. It's going to look a little bit different to the original artwork by Ben, as the airbrush is going to go softer with the shadows. Using this dark green mix, I'm going to add in some white. Colour in the shorts. Just going to flat tone them, and then I'll bring the camouflage over the top. Just airbrushing in the camouflage pattern on the board shorts. Now using a pre-mixed light green. So I'm going to do the colour for the brain now. I've got pink, but it's a bit too light, so I'm going to add some red into it. That's much better. Okay, so you're going to mix up some yellow and put a few drops of white in just to make it more of a light yellow. Using this browny red mix, add some shading to the brain. I'm going to use some burnt sienna. Now I'm going to use a really dark transparent black. The reason I want to use the transparent black is because it'll show up as pretty much black, but it's just not as harsh. And I just find that black is just a bit too harsh. So I switched airbrushes, went to the older model. The other one was tip drying a lot. I think it just needs a really good clean. So hopefully this one runs a bit smoother. It is extremely warm tonight in the studio. So it hit 33 degrees Celsius today, and it'd still be about 25, 26 in here. So I'll switch back to the previous airbrush. And strained the paint into the cup this time, just to get it to run a bit smoother. You can really see how that transparent black is cleaning up the edge of the Martian and separating him from the background. We're getting rid of that overspray. Now outlining the shorts, this little drawstring as well. Freehand in the pocket. I've actually lost the outline, so just going to run with it freehand. using that transparent black, I'm just going to add some of that into the background. I'm going to add some dark shading, still using that transparent black into the UFO. I'm going to use this transparent black to just darken up the sky a little. I'll do a bit more darker shading on the Martian using this mix. Trying to be careful not to go back over the black. I probably should have done this before I did the black, as then the black would have opaqued easily over the top of it, but I thought there was enough shading. Now it's time to add in white highlights. So with white, just be careful that you don't overdo it. I'm following the reference of the Martian, and then the areas that I created myself, like the background and the UFO especially, I'll just be following the same light source. So you can see I've gone through and highlighted the rest of the body. I've even put some highlights into the shorts just to give it more of an airbrushed look. So just follow the same procedure as what I was doing in the face and just continue to render the body. Now with the UFO, do some highlights as well. Using white and the fire template, I'm just going to run some flame coming out. Instead of fire, I might just do a bit of smoke, see what that looks like. So just using that transparent black as a base, and now I'll work the white back over it. Fast track your learning, you can definitely check out our online airbrushing course at airbrushasylum.thinkific.com, or you can continue to watch some of the other videos that I've got listed here. And until next time, go grab your airbrush, do some amazing artwork yourself, and I'll see you again very, very soon in the next video. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.